Well, we mentioned it there, but and he's denying that he called for regime change in Russia. President Biden is also dealing with the fuel crisis that is hitting the Western world, with many Americans blaming him.
Well, let's speak to Diana Furchtgott-Roth. She's a former Assistant Secretary of Transportation in the Trump administration and also a former economic advisor to the Reagan and Bush administrations. Good morning to you. Look, this was an unguarded mistake by President Biden, which shows weakness in the Western alliance, isn't it?
The president has had a series of mistakes. I mean, back in 1987, he plagiarized Neil Kinnock. Back in 2008, he said, and I quote, that Barack Obama was the first mainstream African-American who is articulate and bright and clean and a nice-looking guy. And there was another time he told a state senator from Missouri, Chuck Graham, to get up. But Chuck Graham was in a wheelchair and could not get up. And then he has commiserated with the Irish Prime Minister on the death of his mother when his mother was still alive. So Joe Biden has a continual stream of
Diana, what is wrong with saying what everybody thinks? Get rid of Putin, no matter what way.
Look, I'm an economist. These people are diplomats and politicians. So they think that in the diplomatic circles, this is not the right way to say it. So you know what they say, politics is the art of going out to lie for your country.
Is there a sort of funny way in which this was actually a bit of a genius stroke from the administration? And I know, obviously, you're not in the same camps when it comes to politics, but just looking at this objectively, if you can, you know, nobody is going to see the Americans forcing regime change. No one expects that to happen. Nobody, least of all the Kremlin, thinks that will happen. But the fact he said it shows what we're all thinking.
They're thinking about it too, of course they are.
But, you know, he said what no one is allowed to say, and he's had to row back from it. And he can play the card of being a little bit elderly, can't he? But actually, maybe it gets the message through.
Well, it was probably unintentional because of the first way that the White House walked it back afterwards. But it's certainly true that the sanctions are making life very uncomfortable for Russians. And the people who are most probably thinking about regime change are the Russians themselves. I mean, the ruble is hardly worth anything anymore. They can't get the same luxury goods in the shops that they had. The price of food is high. They are the ones who are probably thinking about regime change.
And how bad do you think it's going to be for the economy of the United States? I mean, lots of criticism being levelled now at President Biden for the implications for ordinary Americans as well. Is that fair?
Yes, that's true. But inflation started well before the war in Ukraine. And it's true that President Biden is trying to pin the blame on the war. But there was massive amount of inflation at the end of 2021. It was 7% from the year before. And President Biden purposely shut off all oil production, or a lot of oil production in the country, and now is going to Venezuela, Saudi Arabia, asking them to produce more oil, even though he could just go north to the ally, Canada, our ally, and ask Canada to sell more oil. So it's clear that he does not have the interests of the country at heart.
Has he got the interests of the midterm elections in November at heart?
No, people really are very unhappy with the amount of inflation. They're very unhappy with petrol prices. They see them multiple times a day as they go to work, go home from work, go shopping. And they've more than doubled over the past year. And with these kinds of things, he's not going to do well in the midterm elections.
Diana, appreciate your analysis. Got to leave it there. Thank you very much for your time. Diana Furchtgott-Roth, who's an economics professor at George Washington University. Thank you very much indeed.